lady said, I'm a software engineer at Red Hat, and I'm a developer, actually, and I work in the P&T DevOps team. P&T stands for Product and Technologies, and I'm part of this internal project that is called Factory 2.0, and the purpose of our project is to, let's say, improve, hopefully, and automate the release pipeline process of RPM packaging in Fedora and RHEL. So basically I work on RHEL, we can say that. And we develop mainly microservices, and mainly they are Python applications. And we're not just developers, we also take care of deploy our applications and be sure that they are running correctly in production. So today I would like to talk to you about the effort that we did in the last months to improve our monitoring that was not existent, so I think we did some effort. And I just want to explain to you the experience that we had. So I'm not saying that this is the best approach ever, it's just our approach. And I want to show you the technologies that we used. So you want monitoring to avoid these kind of situations. I put the cats because I love this website. It's there, the link, and you can see all the status code with cats. And there's also one for dogs if you prefer dogs. And so you want to avoid these kind of situations, and mainly that the user will hit this kind of thing. And because it's not nice if the user tells you that there is something wrong with your software. You should know that. It shouldn't be the user to tell you that there is something wrong. So why we wanted monitoring? Because that's actually what happened. A user started to tell us that there was something wrong with our services. They were like, did you know that? And we were, no, what? I didn't know. And you don't want these kind of embarrassing situations. And also, you need it because if you don't have monitoring, you don't know that there is something wrong with your service. Sometimes you can even have an outage that you don't even notice. And also, even if you notice there's a problem, you have no information about it. So when that started, why, what happened, and you can just check the logs, but that's not handy. And also, it helps you analyze the health of your system. And you can also maybe avoid issues in the future. So today I want to talk to you about these three things. Prometheus, I think everyone knows it here, and New Relic. It's not open source, but still I think it's a good software, and actually it's in the sponsors, I think. And some custom monitoring that we wrote because we realized that there wasn't just one solution for all our problems. And I wanted to say something else. I don't remember. That's okay. It will come to my mind. So the good thing about Prometheus, in my opinion, is that it's open source. Of course, I work for Red Hat, so we kind of care about that. And it's pretty easy to set up. And actually, I would like to show you a live demo if it doesn't start burning. And also, it's really easy to define custom metrics. Of course, this is really useful in my case because we have API, web app, and I'm the developer, and I'm also the person that put that in production. So I can do that. I know that maybe this is not the solution for everyone because sometimes you cannot actually change the application that you want to monitor. So that was useful for us at least. And the good thing about Prometheus is that even if you don't want to write custom metrics because maybe you're not a developer or you don't care to have custom metrics, you can still use these exporters. So, I don't know, you have an app and there's a PostgreSQL database. You just have this exporter for that, you start using, and you can take 30-part systems metrics into your Prometheus metrics. So that's really cool. Another thing is that it's kind of friendly with Openshift and Kubernetes. We deploy all our applications in Openshift, and it was okay for us. We had some issues, but it was okay in the end. So, okay, I will show you a demo. Hopefully, it will work. Okay, I will try to hold the microphone too. Yes. So I just wrote a very stupid. Okay, can you hear me? So I wrote a very stupid Flask application. I'm starting the server here, and this is running on this port 5000, and it's here. Okay, so it's just a stupid hello world. I want to show you the code of that. Yes, it's. I will find the window. It's here. So as you can see, it's a Flask application, and this is just the hello world, and it's just returning hello world. Okay. What I'm doing here is I instantiated this counter that I've imported from Prometheus library. So this is the Python library for Prometheus, and in this hello world, I'm just incrementing this counter. So basically, we are just counting how many times we are hitting this endpoint. It's really stupid, but it works. So I already accessed that, and I have another endpoint that is actually. Can you see the? Is it too small? No. A bit. Okay. And so we have another endpoint that is metrics, and here we are exposing all our metrics. So I can actually go to also that one. Oh, it's too much. Okay. And we can see this number request total is exactly the name of the counter that I instantiated. And now it's 1 because of course I accessed the page just once. So if I refresh like 3 times here, I should see 4. It works, I'm really happy. And so maybe some other times, and it works. Okay. So, but this is not really interesting. Like I shouldn't like access just this page. It's not handy. So I will start Prometheus in a container. So this is the Prometheus image, and I'm going to expose that on 1990 port. So at this 1990 port localhost, we get Prometheus. So okay, and if I look for this very counter, this is really basic. I'm sorry if it's boring, but and I get the number of requests that we did. So it's really easy to set up. I just did it in like 3 minutes. And okay, another thing that I wanted to show you is the targets. So it's telling me all my targets. If I stop the server, of course it will become down in a bit. Okay, it's really stupid. I will start that again. This got reset. And okay. So how Prometheus can know where to look? Basically, when we started the container, we said to go to this configuration file, and that's actually here. So it's really stupid. I'm telling, please check every 5 seconds, and you can find your target here, and the metrics are exposed here. So you just have to, if you want to add another one, you just create another job name and it's super easy. Okay. Another thing that I want to show you is Grafana. I'm running another container with Grafana image, and I'm exposing that on port 3000. And it's here. For time reasons, I thought I already configured the dashboard, but I don't see data, maybe because there's some filter. Okay. Maybe you can zoom a bit. So that's maybe a bit more interesting, and you can define several dashboards. Okay, I will continue with the presentation. So another software that I want to talk to you about is New Relic. New Relic is not open source. That's a downside, but still, it's a good software. So, as Prometheus, it helps you to monitor performances, resources, and of course get alerts. And today I'm going to talk to you about synthetic monitors that the definition is the last point, and it's a way to automate some requests from different locations. You can also configure private locations that can be inside your network, and then you can hit an HTTP endpoint that can be your web app, your API, whatever. And so this is like a screen of the script that we wrote internally for one of our softwares. And it's pretty stupid. It's just making a post on that URL and with some data that are real data. And then we have a callback function that is checking if everything is how we expected. So, for example, if the source code is what we wanted, and we check the data that we received. And of course, if this script fails, I get an alert, and you can configure several policies and several like communication channels. So, for example, we configure one email that is our mailing list, and also we set it up with PagerDuty. That is another software. I'm not going to talk to you about this one today, but it's really useful for get paged, and I don't like that usually. But we are trying to use it, and if you are on duty calls, it's quite useful. As I said before, you can perform the check from different locations. You can configure also private locations, so you can be sure that your service is running, it's seen correctly by many locations, not just your network. And you can define how many times you want to perform the check. And this is the main page of the synthetic monitor that we configured, and you can see some graphs, some availabilities, and the failures. Now there's nothing, but if you would have something, you would see the error and when that happened, and like the error message. So it's quite cool. And we also see the slowest results. And this is one example. We can see the location where where it was done the check, and what time. And we can see here how the application spent the time doing the request. So you can see that actually it spent basically all the time just waiting. So maybe it was waiting for some other service, so you can say to your user, it's not my fault. And so it's really easy also to analyze the health of your system. Even if it's working, it doesn't mean it's healthy. So you can also configure dashboards, and that's nice. We have uptime for all our services and latency, stuff like that. Okay, and I want to talk to you about one last thing that is custom monitoring. So our applications mainly talk through messages. So there is this message bus, and they talk in this message bus, but messages are not so reliable. So sometimes we had users complaining that some messages were lost, and there wasn't a way for us to monitor that. So you can actually monitor maybe with Prometheus the messages that you lost, because you can count them. I don't know, you can count the exceptions, but there wasn't a way to see if all these softwares among each other were talking correctly and the messages were working. And also, even if you have, that one service is healthy, that doesn't mean that it's talking to another correctly. Maybe the message bus is not working. Your softwares are working, but you still have a problem if the message bus doesn't work. So we actually wrote these tests. It's not like, maybe it's not correct to call them monitoring, it's more like an E2E test. But we are running that in production, and we enable alerts on that, so it's actually monitoring for us. And it's a custom solution, and we needed that, as I said, for messaging. And it's basically a Jenkins job that we wrote. And so that's let's say the architecture. A bit simplified. So we have two services, and they publish messages on this message bus. So we have our Jenkins job that triggers one service to send a message, and then the service actually should send this message. We check in our Jenkins job in another stage if this message is in the message bus, so we listen for it. And at the same time, the second service should also read this message. And we then, in the end, check with the Jenkins job if the second service received that message. So this is really handy, also because Jenkins, separate each stage, and you can see very easily what was the stage that didn't work. And if it fails, we get an email, and we immediately know where to look. So you don't have the problem to log to the cluster, check the logs, and yeah, this is working, and let's try the other service, so that's working, okay, let's check the message bus, and it's really tiring. And of course, the downside of it is that it's, since it's a Jenkins job, if there's a bug in Jenkins, we don't know how to solve it, and we get sometimes emails because the Jenkins job failed, for example, to pull the source code for the job, and if I'm paged and I get an email for that, I'm not really happy, because there's a bug in Jenkins. But I would say this is a problem of every monitoring system. If there's a bug, there's nothing you can do about it. So the conclusion is that monitoring, in my opinion, is really important, and I'm not sure how many of you actually have monitoring, but I realized, talking to many people and also some team internally, that a lot of people don't have monitoring, and I was like, what? That's incredible, in my opinion. And I don't think there's one alternative that works for everyone. That was just our experience, and it's the one that is suitable for us. And the other conclusion in good open source spirit is that if you don't find something that you like, just write it, how we did. And I think I'm concluded very shortly. I'm so sorry.